BB for Hodier and straight black pride, brothers and sisters. This is your brother, DC Radical One, with a new segment here on the YouTube channel. And the segment is called Ask DC. And the premise is very simple. I'm taking questions that are given to me either via the YouTube comments or via Instagram and answering those questions in video form. So before we get to one of this week's questions, we're gonna first let me remind you that Saturday, March 19th at 2 p.m. The Straight Black Pride Movement will have their release our 6th annual Dr. Francis Cress Welsing Day Celebration. And it will feature a lecture presentation by myself entitled The Death and Rebirth of the Goddess Black Woman. Tickets are $20 available on Eventbrite, and they will be available for the live stream and also in person. For more information, you can email straightblackpride_DC@protonmail.com. And of course, this event will be at our new Straight Black Pride Headquarters at 6490 Landover Road, Suite A1, Cheverly, Maryland 20785. So I invite you all to come out to that. The link will be in the description of this video. And believe me, if you've seen any of my lectures, you will enjoy this one. If you have not seen any of my lectures, I think you will enjoy this one if you enjoy the content here. Now, with that being said, again, this is a new segment that we're going to do several times a week is the plan, as long as I receive multiple questions in the week. So today's question is a very interesting question. In fact, all the questions that I got so far are very interesting. But today's question, it comes anonymously, although I do actually know who it is, but they don't want their name used. And the question is, what is your position on polygamy in the Black community? Are you for or against it? So they have asked DC. And so before I answer the question, we have to get through some definitions so that we make sure we're all talking about the same thing. So let's look at what we're talking about when we say polygamy. In this case, polygamy, the practice of or custom of having more than one wife or husband at the same time. Now, underneath polygamy, we have polygyny, which is the practice of a man having multiple wives, and polyandry, which is the practice of a woman having multiple husbands at the same time. Now, of course, there is a difference between those two things, and then there's another practice that would also fall under polygamy, which would be polyamory, which is the practice of engaging in multiple romantic and typically sexual relationships at the same time with the knowledge and consent of all of the people involved. Now that we have our definitions out the way, let's attack each one of these in order to answer the question comprehensively. Now, in the case of polygamy, and specifically polygyny for the Black community here in America, I would say that theoretically, I can see the benefits of this practice, and it is rooted, I believe, in our ancestral tradition as African people. The fundamental flaw, and it's not a flaw with the practice, it's a flaw with where our people are currently mentally, is that, on the surface, when you look at it, you would say, okay, we have approximately 25% marriage rate amongst Black women. That's like 1 in 4. We do have an out of wedlock child rate of approximately 2 out of 3, like 67% or so. But in America in general, there's approximately a 50% divorce rate. And it's been reported that the vast majority, like 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5 of those marriages the divorces are filed by women. So this is where the discussion lies. If women are filing for divorce at a high rate in America in general, and I did not pull up the statistics for Black women specifically. If Black women are already dissatisfied with their marriages, and marriages are ending early, and there's no competition, there's no other woman, the women oftentimes think they can do better, or they're just generally dissatisfied with how the relationship is going, not getting enough attention, maybe financial issues, things of that nature. Then the question becomes, does polygyny in itself, and we're going to deal with each practice separately, the question becomes, how does polygyny solve those issues, right? Now, when I was looking at it, and I was actually having a conversation with several people about this, my thought was, this could be positive. We have a lot of sisters who are unprotected, and my understanding culturally, the initial reason for the cultural practice is so that every woman would be underneath the protection of a man, and so that no woman would be without the not just the physical protection, the emotional support, the financial support of a man. That was the original intent of the practice on the continent. And as wars and things like that would cause an imbalance between the number of men and women, every woman wasn't always in a society able to have a husband. But if a man was able to have multiple wives, then every woman could have a husband. Also, you would have situations where a woman may have reproductive issues, right? And the man may want children, or they may have children, but she may not want any more children. And then oftentimes that woman would choose a younger woman for her husband so that he can continue to have children. Or they may get married and find out that the woman cannot have children at all, but the man doesn't want to divorce her, and then they choose another woman so that they can have children as a family. These are the types of things that we were doing traditionally on the continent. So the question becomes, are our people here in America mature enough to have these type of relationships on a long-term basis? The second question is, who regulates this type of arrangement so that the women aren't taken advantage of by a man that simply wants to sleep with a bunch of women, but wants to use our traditional practices as a cover for that? That's a big issue. Also, there's the legal issue here in America. It's not really legal, which is kind of weird when you think about it, because homosexual marriage is now legal, but polygamy in any form, as far as I know of, is not legal anywhere in the States, to my understanding. Now, if I'm wrong, y'all can correct me in the comments, but that's my understanding. So I do see some pros and cons with that. I would say that as far as the polygyny aspect, I'm kind of, I can see it in theory. I have trouble seeing it in practice. If someone knows of a polygynous relationship that's been going strong for over 10 years, somebody, you can point me to a couple of those, then I might say, hey, this is something we might have to look at seriously. Until then, it's for me, it's just a theoretical framework at best. Moving on to polyandry, the practice of a woman with multiple husbands. Again, this is something that was rarely seen on the African continent. We have a situation here in America where there are the ratio of black women to black men is, I'm not even sure what it is at this point. I would say it's probably like, I don't know, maybe 53 to 47%, like 53% women, 47% men. Therefore, then you start adding in the homosexuality and some other things. There's a good percentage of women to men ratio. So with more women to men, I don't really see the need for this practice of two men to share one woman. Now, admittedly, there is a lack of non-feminist race first black women, but I still don't think it's to the point where brothers need to share one woman. So because of the ratios of women to men, I do not see a need for this practice here in America. I don't actually, at this time, I really don't see the benefits of that. Somebody could inform me about it or persuade me. Hey, down in the comments, just let me know what you think. But that's not something that I see that would be beneficial for us at this time. And with all of these, the polygamy, polygyny, polyandry, all of these, we have to take health considerations into. We have to think about, just the health ramifications of these situations with multiple partners, and also the child rearing aspect of it. When we're dealing with these type of situations, what are we telling our children? Who is the second wife? What is her title? Who is, if you have two husbands, who is the second husband? What is his title? And the thing about it is that as I think about it, and I go off script, what's very weird is that because of the various entanglements and the multiple children by multiple men that we often see in our community, the small percentage of men who are fathering a large percentage of children. So you have a man with, that may have 5 children by 3 different women, or 5 by 4, and things like that. This is not just celebrities. This is things you see in the quote unquote hood. That's what's interesting. We're already practicing an unregulated, degenerate form of these things anyway, which is, I'm sure, some people would argue. But my argument is, because it's unregulated and because it's a degenerative form of these activities, we don't have any type of governing structure to make it regulated and to enforce people to do the right thing. So because we're already doing it wrong, does that mean that we should continue doing it, or does that mean that we should try to work on the basics of a relationship of one man and one woman and build ourselves up from there? I think you start with one and work your way up. That's just my opinion on that. And lastly, let's go back. Polyamory. I saw a clip of it, and I didn't use it here, but I saw a clip of a television show that I never heard of, and I actually can't even remember the show. But anyway, within that, They were a polyamorous relationship of black people. There were like 4 men and maybe 6 or 7 women, 5 children. They were all in the house together. They were all interacting with each other. And from what I see, just from what I have seen and studying this polyamory movement, this seems most rooted in European sexual degeneracy out of all the practices that we have discussed. Just the examples that I've seen on the internet and clips of videos and people talking about it is, this pretty much seems to be kind of a new age free-for-all sexual updated sexual revolution hippie movement thing happening amongst younger black people, where not only is everybody in essence having sex with everybody else, but there's definitely not a standard of upholding heterosexuality within the confines of these polyamorous relationships. Most of the times I look at them, obviously at least 1 or 2 people in these polyamorous relationships are homosexual, whether it's 2 women. Sometimes there's a non-gender specific person involved that you're not really sure even what they are, so they're having sex with everybody involved, and it's just a ball of Roman confusion. So of all the things that we have discussed here, I am most against polyamory because I believe it's just another fancy word for European degeneracy with a black label stamped on it, and just a way for people to consistently have sex with the same set of people and engage in homosexuality and things like that, while presenting it as a family type of thing. So I am staunchly against that for that reason. You can move me in the polygyny direction, but I feel like that our people really aren't mature enough at this time to really engage in any of these practices to the benefit of us as a community. It would take some very special people, probably in some type of isolated environment where it becomes part of the culture that they establish. And even with that, that's dangerous, because we've had situations with cult leaders and pedophilia and things like that, even here in the black community. So with that being said, I feel like I have covered this question as extensively as I can. I hope that the person that asked the question, I hope that I have covered it well enough. And to review, polygamy, I do understand it is a part of our cultural tradition, even going back before the European missionaries, and I believe going back before Arab invasion. The polygyny aspect would be the aspect that I would think would be have the most potential to be beneficial for black people in America at this time. Someone will have to convince me of the need of polyandry, and I'm completely against the polyamory, which seems to just be no holds barred. So with that, brothers and sisters, I think we've covered this subject pretty thoroughly. Thank you all for watching the video. This is episode 1 of the Ask DC segment. And if you have a question, you can leave it down in the comment section. I will make a video and I will try to answer as honestly and as thoroughly as possible. And with that, I say Abibi Fahodie and straight black pride. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_one. And the Cash App is $DC Radical, the number 1. Thank you again.